Good morning. I'm Lisa Natoli. Welcome to A Course in Miracles Friday morning. And I'm so happy that you're here. And today is going to be Bill Free. He's going to be talking about awareness. And he's also going to be reading from the new version of A Course in Miracles put out by the Circle of Atonement. Who knows that version? Who loves that version? He found some sentences that he's going to share this morning that we can't find anywhere else that are really just incredible messages and instructions from Jesus. So I'm going to call up John Warnsdorfer for today's reading.
Hello, hello. Oh, I have to multitask and hold this too. Okay, so hello, all my wonderful expressions of God. All right. By letting go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try, the world is beyond winning. I'm not going to try to say who that is. Latzo. Some say Latzo, some say Latzo. Tomato, today, tomorrow. Okay. So my take on that is it's true. Yes. Get out of your way. If you try to control it and make it happen, all you're doing is setting up limits and not surrendering to Holy Spirit, God, what it is, being, whatever you want to apply to that. And therefore, you will probably just be really in stress. And then it says that it will never come again is what makes life so sweet. So the sooner you let go, the more life will become sweet. And then let's see, there's one more blurb on here. Where has life surprised you? So the thing that comes up for me that I mean, we could go on and on and on and on with that. But the thing that I constantly go back to is the mirror in us. So when you look in the mirror and your hair's messed up, you don't reach into the mirror and try to change it. You go back to yourself.
Oh, that's good.
So take that wherever you want to go. There you go.
So just gonna open up with a prayer, and then we're gonna bring up Bill. So centering where you are, closing your eyes if that feels comfortable, or keep them open if that feels comfortable, because there's no right or wrong way, because you are the light and there's no method or formula. And prayer is just a simple way to reach to God. And God is the light that you are. God is the love that you are. God is the grace that you are. It is your holiness. And in this present moment, we feel this presence and this power, this light that is always present. And as we bring ourselves into the stillness, we become aware again of what has always been there. And we thank you, Father, that your love surrounds us, that we remember our innocence, our holiness. We are children again. We don't have to worry about what to say or what to do. We acknowledge this holy instant as we enter into the Christmas season. The Christ in us is born. And we carry this holiness and this memory with us. The light has come. We are healed and we can heal. We are saved and we can save. We are at peace, and we carry this peace with us everywhere we go, to everyone we meet. And we are grateful that we are together. We're grateful for this space that we can gather. Thank you for lighting up our minds again with your love. Amen. So welcome, everyone. So good to be here. And it is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you Bill Free.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hey. Hi, live streamers. Welcome. Namaste. Happy to be here, everyone. We had last week off, and that was new for us to be closed on Friday here. And one of the few times in 4 years that I think we've had a couple of snow days, but last week was the first time that a holiday landed on like a Friday, and we skipped last week. It was really kind of cool. But at the same time, we have, I don't know how many people are live streaming right now. How many?
91.
91. Wow. 91 of you guys. Thank you for joining us. And what I noticed since the last time I looked, in 1 week, 100 more people signed up to join us live streaming in just not the last week, but the last 2 weeks, last time I checked. So you guys are actually way outnumbering us here. But we're very grateful to have you join us, live streamers, and we all want you to know that you are a part of this as much as we are a part of this. We bring this to you, and you bring the presence of God and the knowing of this experience with you to us. So thank you for joining us in this way from around the world. I noticed that there were people from Europe and from all over that were, when I looked at the screen when we first started this morning. And that's just amazing. And that's where the live streaming has brought us to. And at first it was kind of weird, we started live streaming and it was like, okay, so, when we started the group, it was kind of, everything was kind of like happened and then we started. Well, when you're live streaming, you have to go, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, you're on. So that we look, so that we have a kind of a presentation that opens properly for people that are sitting behind their computers and behind their smartphones. So anyway, all of that just to say, I am very grateful for this venue that we have, and I'm very grateful that we are able to share these ideas, these important transformational ideas to ourselves and to all of you guys around the world. And the ones who come here, you guys that make this happen here locally, it's because of you locally supporting this that we're actually able to transmit this around the world. So you guys are actually supporting, besides the fact that you support us financially by putting in the love box and helping us pay for the space and supporting the Teachers of God Foundation. You support us in sharing everybody's message around the world. Kelly, Linda, Lisa, Al, John, Monica, Kimberly, everyone, Nancy, David, and Lisa that just got up were sharing last week. And so all of these aspects of ourselves that are sharing the truth that's coming through is made available by you guys being part of this, supporting it, and being, this is the heart of God that's expressing itself around the world. And so I'm really grateful for all of you and your help. And we have a cameraman over here. Thank you. A camera woman. Thank you. Today's topic is so exciting to me that I'm just going to ask everyone, if you need to use a bathroom, use a bathroom. Please don't get up and walk around while I'm sharing this, because what I'm going to share with you today, the mind that thinks it's separate is not going to like. It's not going to like what I'm going to share with you today. And if you guys are on the computer, turn your cell phone off, close your windows, except for this one. If you really want to have an experience that's available to you, an experience in the truth, this is an important topic. And I'm obsessed with it, as most of you know. And that's what the title of the talk is today. Why am I so obsessed with the topic of awareness? Why is that? I've been obsessed with it for years, but I am more obsessed with it today, right now. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you why this is probably, in my mind, this is the most important topic to know and have a real knowing of this idea that there is available anywhere. And this is just my opinion. It may be other people's opinion too, but in my mind, and I said this 2 years ago, up here, I wrote a chart and I said, awareness. And it just dropped in. I wasn't thinking that I was going to say this in advance. And I said, awareness is everything. Awareness is everything. And I'm going to show you why. Now, there's other things that are important and will need to be considered. But this one idea is a life-changing idea because it takes you from the idea of knowing about what you are, or knowing about the concepts that the Course has available, to having a direct experience with the contents, a direct, visceral experience, so that you're no longer practicing forgiveness lessons and forgiveness opportunities and, giving things to the Holy Spirit, because you're actually realizing that you are giving it to you. You're actually giving it to what you are, which is the altar of truth. And when you give it to what you are, when you give forgiveness or judgment or beliefs or things that are like have been grounding you or attaching you to the belief that you're a person that has these things and a victim and has these things happening to you, it gives you the experience of shining a light on it in the instant that it occurs. The instant that it occurs in your experience, you're able to shine a light on it. And why? Because it's everything, for one thing. Why am I obsessed with the topic of awareness? I'm obsessed with it. You got that? And the other thing is that there's a question, and I didn't know this. I just started reading the Course in the purple edition, and I'm just like, I'm eating this thing up like I did when I first found the Course 10 years ago in the Blue Book. I'm eating this thing up. It's like, I'm not kidding. And I was totally obsessed with the Blue Book. When I found the Blue Book, I couldn't sleep at night. I spent weeks and weeks living in my motorhome on my property in Florida. I had the motorhome parked outside the house, and I would use it when guests would come from out of town. I would let them stay in the motorhome. They had their own kitchen, bedroom. We didn't bother them. Didn't bother. But when I found the Course, I moved out there to the motorhome because my former partner, my former wife, she did not want the Course in our house, and I was so obsessed with the Course that it scared her. It was fearful. It went from a thought system of fundamentalist Christianity to A Course in Miracles that says there is no world, and that none of this is real. It's pretty scary when your husband becomes like this other person. So I voluntarily went out to the motorhome, and I would stay out there for weeks. I would read the Blue Book all night long, and I couldn't put it down. I was just, oh my God, what is this? And I called Ken Wapnick on the phone several weeks in, and was I was really just so on fire for this information. I wanted to get the Blue Book into all the colleges in the United States. I figured it'd be 30 books for each college. And I looked up all the colleges, and I figured that we needed about 150, 180,000 copies of the course. Put them in all the... And I called up Bob Scutch, who was the printer, the publisher of the course. I said, Bob, this is Bill Free. I'm just curious to know how much 180,000 copies of the course would cost. I called up Ken. I gave Ken my idea. He called me right back. Ken Wapnick called me right back. Oh, okay, thanks. He called me back. And I'm in my motorhome, and Ken goes. I give Ken my idea, and he's going, Bill. Calm down. This course is just for you. This course is just for you. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself here. I was obsessed. No kidding. If you could mix the book up into a batter of some kind, and eat it, I would have eaten it. If I knew how to do that, I would have eaten it. So that obsession it's been revived. That not in a egoic way like it was then. Oh, but the funny thing was, after I got off the phone with Ken, I hung up the phone. I went, wow, that guy's not very spiritual. It was hilarious when I look back at it. And Bob Scutch, he's probably 95 years old today. He was about 85 or 80 in his early 80s when I made that phone call to him. He is Judy Scutch's former husband, and they're the publisher of the Blue Book. But even when I talked to Bob today, or I talked to him a couple of years ago, he remembers that phone call when I asked him, how much 180,000 copies of the Blue Book would be. So I am very passionate, as you all are, about this message. But I'm mostly passionate today about the topic of awareness, because it has taken me from knowing about the course and doing forgiveness and thinking that I need to learn it and know it, and I do, and I did, and it was important, but it was all of that was leading me to the experience that I'm having today, every day. Every day. This course delivers. It delivers if you give it your full attention. Jesus says in the course that if you want to learn this course, you'll know that you want to learn it by studying it, by doing the course. He says it. And the reason that I'm inspired by this course is because the Purple Book somehow has a different way of presenting itself to me. I love the Blue Book, and I'll go to it to pick up familiar text or workbook lessons, but I've really fallen in love with it feels like a very, I want to say impersonal relationship with the consciousness of Jesus, with the consciousness of the author of the book. And when I'm going through this new book, I'm in right at the end of chapter 4 right now. I'm sitting down where every night I just have this pull after we have dinner. I want to open it up and read it until I'm informed to put it down. I'm not like, what is it? I'm excited when I read something in here that blows my mind. I have Lisa Natoli right there in the same room. I go, listen to this. And of course, her antennas go right up because this is the love of her life also. And she just totally, she eats it up as much as I do. And the first 4 chapters just started opening up to me in the last, I would say, 4 weeks in a way that I hadn't seen before. And I'm going to continue to read. I've committed to read the Purple Book this year. I think I'm going to have the text read in about 3 months, because I'm blowing through it pretty quick, and I'm underlining and starring. And if you look at some of my old blue books, you would see that I just, I did the same thing with them. You just really fall in love with the truth that that you feel it when you read it. And there's a question in the very first couple I think it's what chapter is it in? There's a question in the chapter.
Hey, Bill, there's a question. They want to know what the Purple Book is.
Oh, good question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Will you repeat it?
Yeah, the Purple Book is the new CE edition of A Course in Miracles. It's the Circle of Atonement complete and annotated edition of the original handwritten notes of Helen Schuckman, the scribe of A Course in Miracles. And the reason this book is, it just got published in 2017, and the reason this book has such an important value for really devoted Course students, or anybody that's supposed to pick it up, is because the handwritten notes of Helen Schuckman are it's like the shorthand. If you can see this page right here,
Bring it closer.
it's the shorthand notes that Helen wrote. You can't really tell what the words say because it's shorthand, but the author of the book, or the publisher of this book, is the Circle of Atonement, and the editor and founder of that organization, Robert Perry. He was a Course in Miracles student for 10 years before when he realized, and he's in love with the Course as much as you or me or anyone else, just totally in love with it, gave his life to it. But after 10 years in, he realized that there was information. He heard about the text, and he realized from reading Absence from Felicity, the book that Ken Wapnick published, the autobiography of Helen Schuckman, that there was information that wasn't in the Blue Book that he was not aware of. And when he found that out, he dedicated himself to finding out what the information is and what was missing that might be important to know, because he saw a lot of information in Absence from Felicity that was left out of the Blue Book that was important to know. And when he learned that, he dedicated his life to republishing that material. Took him 10 years to take all of those shorthand notes. He has a team of people, must have over 20 people. A team of people helped him to republish those original notes so that we could have the unedited, raw experience that Helen and Bill had, the original takers of this information. And the reason that is important is because and I'm not going to get into the details of it because I'm going to get into the talk, but the reason that's important is because there's 40,000 more words in this edition than the Blue Book. Nearly 400 pages, and there's a lot of commentary in it I think it's kind of cool. Robert's done a good job of marrying the content of the Course to a lot of old Bible verses corrected in the Course, because the Course has corrected nearly 800 verses from the Bible into what Jesus says. What I really meant by that is this, and what that statement really means, like instead of fear God and instead of seek first the kingdom, will first for the kingdom. instead of seeking it, because we don't have to seek what we are. So he gives a correction there, but he gives nearly 800 corrections in the course that they are fully revealed in this purple edition. But the other part of it that's important is that when Helen was giving the first information to Bill, and the blue book originally had, the original edition was a Bill Thetford edition. When Helen was first giving the information to Bill, she was reading her shorthand notes, and he was typing as she read. Well, Helen had resistance around some of the contents of the original message, and she didn't tell him about it. So the original, or most original edition that was published was missing information because Helen didn't read it from her shorthand notes for him to type it, and it completely got left out until this edition. So those are a few of the reasons why this is an important copy to have. So getting back to the story of what brought me to want to talk about this topic is that when I'm going through these first 4 chapters, I'm getting a message, I'm getting an internal message that, oh wow, this is why awareness is important. Oh, this is why awareness is important. And I kept getting this message in these first 4 chapters as I'm rereading the purple book. And then I come across this one page in here that says, it's a section in chapter 4, section 7, that says the real question. There was a real question. Jesus calls it the real question in this edition. This isn't in the blue book. At least it's not in this location in the blue book, because the other thing that happened on the blue book when Helen and Ken Wapnick, when they edited parts of the book, they relocated content because it took the book out of flow, and it didn't make sense when they just took stuff out. So they put other stuff where it was. So the book is out of order from the order that it was given by the author, Jesus, to Helen. So this new book has the actual order that the messages were given over the 7-year period in the correct order again. So that's the other part of it. So in this section here that says the real question, there was a question. It says that the mind asks, where can I go for protection? To which the ego replies, turn to me. The mind, and not without cause, reminds the ego that it has itself insisted that it is identified with the body. So this is where the mind is identifying itself with the body, and the ego says, turn to me. And so there is no point in turning to it for protection. The ego has no real answer to this because there isn't any. But it does have a typical solution. It obliterates the question from the mind's awareness. So the ego moves the question, obliterates it from the mind's awareness, and puts it where it isn't, where it's not in consciousness. It's actually in unconsciousness. And it says, once unconscious, it can and does produce uneasiness, but it cannot be answered because it cannot be asked. This is the question which must be asked. Where can I go for protection? So I'm gonna pause and give a minute, not a whole minute, but I'm gonna give a space to contemplate that. Where can I go for protection? This is the question which must be asked. Only an insane mind fails to ask it. Even the insane ask it unconsciously, but it requires real sanity to ask it consciously. The real problem is correctly stated as, what is the question? Because the answer can be found if the question is recognized. Okay? Does everybody follow? Who follows? Everyone? You guys online follow? Good. Okay. I felt them say okay. Yeah, yeah. So, can you see why when I read something like that, I'm going, oh, ooh, something's in here. Something is in here. What is that question that got obliterated from the conscious mind? Where can I go for protection? Right. And it also says, because the answer can be found if the question is recognized. If it is not, you will attempt a number of solutions, all ego-based, not because you think they will really work, but because the question itself is obscure. When the Bible says, seek and you will find, you shall find, it does not mean that you should seek blindly and desperately for something you wouldn't recognize, meaningful Meaningful seeking is consciously undertaken, consciously organized, and consciously directed. The goal must be formulated clearly and kept in mind. Many are not good at doing this. And then it goes on to talk about the two different types of understanding, where we're goal-oriented or we're not goal-oriented. But the key to this is that it gets, seek and never find is what the ego's mantra is. Seek and never find. And that became very interesting to me when I started reading those ideas and I saw that question, and then I was informed internally what the answer is, what the real question is, and what the answer is. Because the question is not, where can I go for protection? That's just a seeming question that the mind has, but it's not the question that is recognized. What is the question? Because the answer can be found if the question is recognized. That's not the whole question. That's just part of the question. And you'll see why in just a minute. So I've done a few drawings, and can I stand here for a minute?
You can.
Okay. So there are portals into the understanding or the experience of our being. There are portals that we all have. These are just some of them. Course in Miracles is a portal. Neil Donald Walsh had a book that was a portal. The Tao is a portal. Advaita Vedanta is a portal. Many, many portals. So I'm just going to mention a few. I Am is a portal to the gate, really, the understanding of who you are or what you are. I am is self-inquiry, satsangs, neti. Does everyone understand what neti is? Not this, I'm not that. The Maharaj, the well-known Eastern teacher from India, the Nisargadatta Maharaj, his thing was, I am that. I'm not that. I'm not that. So I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm not this. I'm not the chair. I'm not that. I am that which is aware of all these things. So it's a neti is not this, not that. I am the observer. And it's that concept that gets you to a portal to the experience of knowing what you are. And then meditation is another portal. Great portal. A lot of times people get caught in looking and seeking and never finding because they're looking for an experience instead of their identity. Byron Katie has a great portal to locate, and this is very, a lot of our contemporaries that are involved in the course are also very aware and love Byron Katie's work, because her first two questions are direct portals. The first one is sort of a surfacey one. Is it true? It's kind of like, it's conceptual. Is it true? Well, you can check in with that, but that check-in stops the mind for a moment. Is it true? And then the second question, do you absolutely know for certain that it's true? So now it stops the mind a second time, and it brings you into another portal of your being. It brings you into another portal of seeing for an instant without judgment. The holy instant is another portal. But how do I get to a holy instant? Well, that was the holy instant right then. Both of those questions will bring you momentarily to a holy instant. Neti will do that. Meditation will do it. The I am doorway is a portal. And awareness is a portal. Actually, awareness is more than a portal. Because awareness is the one word that we have, and I don't know what it is in other languages, but it's the one word that we have that suspends objective seeing. Awareness cannot be seen objectively. You can't see awareness. Awareness doesn't have an objective quality to it. Awareness just is. And I can prove that by inviting everyone in here to answer, or just look at the question, am I aware? Am I aware? And what is aware of this experience? It doesn't have any objective qualities to it. Am I aware? Stops the mind in its tracks. And only awareness is aware of awareness. Awareness is aware of awareness. But it is not an objective quality. So the reason that that's important, and you'll see as we go along, is that, and this is cool, I do a Rupert Study Book Club every Wednesday at 12 noon for 1 hour, and we're studying The Nature of Consciousness by Rupert Spira. Yesterday, Wednesday, we just finished chapter 8, which is the essence of meditation. And this woman, Annika, she loves Lisa. She loves the course, and she loves Byron Katie. She loves this, she's one of us. Annika was my guest on the show Wednesday, and she made up this sketch for the show because Annika is so present in her experience of God that when she speaks, you know that she is absolutely found the doorway to God is. She totally speaks from that place of knowing and being as God created me, which is all of our goals. And until it's not a goal anymore. It's not a goal anymore when you can pick the book up and you can turn to page, or not to page, but when you can turn to workbook lesson 155. I'm just going to read one line of workbook lesson 155 so you can see what I mean. This is just one of many, and I know you guys have read the many as well. He says, this is I will step back and let him lead the way. And it's not a him. It's a I am. It's a you. It's the being. I will step back and let him lead the way. There is a way of living in the world that is not here. Although it seems to be, you do not change appearance. This doesn't change. Though you smile more frequently, your forehead is serene, your eyes are quiet. And the ones who walk the world as you do recognize their own. We recognize each other's knowing of the experience of being. We recognize it. And we also know that no one else is separate from us. We're not like special. We're all special, really. But we're not exclusion. We don't have a like inside track. We recognize their own. Yet those who have not yet perceived the way will recognize you also and believe that you are like them as you were before. So there is a way, in my mind, we are so powerful and we don't believe it. Most of us don't believe it. We are so dang powerful. And I'm smiling right now because did you hear me say dang? I'm not using cuss words. Because the general audience, the most of the people just don't really appreciate the cuss words. And sometimes I don't either, sometimes I do, but I'm just kind of keeping it G-rated.
Is that true?
Is it true?
I've started swearing for Bill now.
Yeah. So here's something that's in the course. This is a very exciting little kind of a message from Jesus to all of us. To have the full experience. We have an experience. The thing I love about the course that I don't find in and I love, Rupert Spira is my, he's my teacher of non-duality, of being aware. But he's got a book out that just came out called Being Aware of Being Aware. Being Aware of Being Aware. It's a little book. It's not very big. This is like an atomic bomb for the ego, because this will take you directly to the experience that the course really leads you to. But I didn't get it so good. I didn't get it so good as I do now. And now I'm opening every page and I'm going, oh my God, that's what that means. Oh my God, that's what that means. Because your eyes get opened. As you know, the things that you knew 2 years ago, all of a sudden where you are today, you're going, oh yeah, I get that now. I get that. And when you can go into the experience of being the self that you are, instead of just thinking, oh, that's a nice verse, I am as God created me. Oh, that's a nice little theme thing. I am as God created me. Well, until you really have the experience of it, it's just words. It's concepts, and that's not what the goal of the course is. The goal of the course is to bring you into the full experience of knowing that you are one with everything and everyone, and you're not only are you not separate from God, but you are what God is. And that's not blasphemy. It's blasphemy to think otherwise. So listen to this one line that Jesus says here. The ego, this is on page 181. This is also chapter 4. This is another thing that got me so excited about sharing this content. The ego is nothing more than a part of your belief about yourself. Your other life has continued without interruption. Your I am, your God is, your awareness of what you are is continued without interruption. Never missed a beat. and has been and always will be totally unaffected by your attempts to dissociate. The ratio of repression and dissociation of truth varies with the individual ego illusion, but dissociation is always involved, or you would not believe that you are here. So we get to a place where we no longer even believe that we're here. And the Course calls that the real world. The Course calls that the borderland, where truth lies next to illusions, and illusions are dissolved in the knowing of it. It's the borderland. And we have that. That's where we are right now. That's where you guys are that are watching live stream. You guys are there right now. We're in the real world. We're having a real world experience because we know the truth that has set us free from the tyranny of believing that we're just humans, human beings. Yeah, the beings is right. And I love that old New Age phrase that says that we're just we're beings having a human experience. That what?
We're spiritual beings.
Spiritual beings having a human experience. That's actually as true as it gets. But he says right here, he says, when I told you to this is cool. This is what I couldn't find in the Blue Book, because it's not in the Blue Book. It's in the Ur-text, but even this, what I'm going to say, is not in the Ur-text. You know where Helen was, Bill was told Helen that he really wanted to hear Jesus, and he wanted to ask Helen to ask Jesus what I need to do to hear him. And Jesus told Helen to tell Bill that your mind keeps interrupting the experience. So when you get quiet or you get into that space, just say, "Here I am, Lord. Here I am, Lord." Well, I always thought that was, "Here I am, Lord, here I am, Jesus." It's not what it meant at all. He says, when I told you to concentrate on the phrase, "Here I am, Lord," I did not mean in this world by here. I wanted you to think of yourself as a distinct consciousness capable of direct communication with the creator of that consciousness. You must begin to think of yourself as a very powerful receiving and sending channel.
Amen.
Does that give you chills? I have the chills when I read that. My whole head started like vibrating.
He came running to me. He goes, "Lisa, listen."
Does it spell here?
Hey, we need microphones.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Does it spell here with H-E-R-E or H-E-A-R?
H-E-R-E. H-E-R-E. Here.
You could change it.
Yeah, you could
change it and make it H-E-A-R.
Well, taking the mic back from you. Helen did try to change some things. She had resistance around a lot of things in here. But isn't that interesting? I mean, does that give you a little more juice in your jets when you think of
Can you read it again?
Huh?
Can you read
Yeah.
it again?
When I told you to concentrate on the phrase, "Here I am, Lord," I did not mean in this world by here, quote unquote. I wanted you to think of yourself as a distinct consciousness, capable of direct communication with the creator of that consciousness. Okay? So we are, just to put it into perspective, we are the I am. Okay? I am. The reason this is so powerful is because this is our recognition through the portal of this doorway I want to say thank you to Annika Bortjes from the Netherlands that provided this awesome sketch drawing to me and sent it so I could share it on Facebook. She's not on Facebook. She asked me if I would share it with the guys in the book club. But this is so clear. When we say I am, we are as close to God is as we can get this side of eternity. God is, and we cease to speak. Awareness is, and it judges not. Awareness doesn't have a commentary. Awareness doesn't have any coloring to it. Awareness is God is. Awareness is the closest thing that we get to the experience of what we are as God experience, as God knowingness. So the I am is really important because, and this is where we cripple ourselves in time and space, because whatever we put after I am, we're taking the power of God is, and we're attaching attention to it in a time and space experience. I am happy. Now our attention is happy. We have identified as happy. I am sad. Now we have identified the power of God as sad. So that's why the I am is such an important portal. Not only an important portal, the importance of it is like immeasurable. Because if we can experience the world as I am, always being in present awareness and letting everything rise up in front of that, I am hungry. So from the I am, if we remember, if we experience the I am and notice hungry is just being experienced, but we're really truly I am. If we notice that when we think that I have a headache, has a headache. Is that true? Well, we have to, when we ask that Byron Katie question, is that true? We go back to the I am, which is the doorway to God is. And the reason that this is important is because it's a total waste of time. And our experience is diluted. Our experience of being channels with consciousness. What I just read, that Jesus said that.
Excuse me, Bill. Somebody wanted to know where it was that you read that.
Page 181. Chapter 4, page 181. It's the rewards of God. And the reason that this is important is because, I mean, this is a correction from Jesus to Bill and Helen, because he knew that they didn't really get it. They got it the way we got it before. But now when you get it this way, I wanted you to think of yourself as a distinct consciousness capable of direct communication with the creator of that consciousness. You must begin to think of yourself as as a very powerful receiving and sending channel. Who's in for that? Right? I mean, that's what he's saying. We are very powerful giving and receiving channels. Not giving, sending. Receiving and sending channels. And the way we do this is that we practice the experience of awareness. And this is why I'm so passionate and, in fact, obsessed by it, because this is why awareness is so important to me in this understanding. The way let me get back on this side. The way I go from am I aware, to being a direct channel with that consciousness is when I say, am I aware? What is aware of this experience? This is something that I can practice until it becomes automatic all the time. An all the time automatic experience where I am directly connected with the consciousness as a channel. And that's what he's saying right here. He's saying that we have that ability to do that, but we obliterated the question that takes us to this spot. We put it in the subconscious mind. So the Course says that we are always operating as a mind that's of the personal self. While we're operating in perception, we are operating, we're getting information from a lower mind, which is ego, which has told me that I am a body and I am a person, and it's got all these beliefs, and then it's hidden the beliefs that I have, and it brings them up into my experience. And we also have what Jesus calls a superconscious. And he validates Freud's discovery of that and says that if you look in the clarification of terms under, I think it's under knowledge to perception. I have it marked in the book. I'll find it in a second. What?
Perception to knowledge.
Perception to knowledge, right. So until we find ourselves in awareness, we're living in the experience of perception. And as long as we're living in the experience of perception, we're accepting ideas that are coming from the lower order of the mind. But when we take ourselves to this question right here, am I aware? Or what is aware of this experience? We're taking ourselves to I am. And then when we drop the I am, which is the portal into time and space, we just become God is. We enter into the Christ mind at quiet stillness, love, peace. It's that presence of being aware. That's the closest that we can come into a non-objective reality of experience. And this we have available all the time. This brings us, and then what happens here? When we learn to live in this space of awareness, everything rises in awareness. We begin to see that everything is just an experience that is occurring. And when you practice and then have the experience of knowing this is your identity, and when something occurs in your life that starts to pull you back into your the order of belief, your unconscious thoughts, you can be drawn back into this experience by just asking yourself, am I aware?
Monica's on here.
Annika's on there?
Yeah.
Annika, I have your drawing. I have your drawing right here. There it is. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So the reason that, some of the other reasons that I really got excited about this is because the doorway into the experience of what the Course offers can be found easily by all of us. It's available to all of us to have the experience of I am. I am. And that's why, I said that there's portals. So the workbook lessons and the text are a portal into the experience of I am. I feel that all of those other things were portals to the experience of I am. It says here in chapter 3, what section is it? Beyond perception. So the experience of the doorway, or the experience of I am, gets us beyond perception. And Jesus says here in paragraph 5 that the problem that is bothering you most is the fundamental question which you continually ask yourself, but which cannot properly be directed to yourself at all. You keep asking yourself what you are. And anytime we have an experience that has caused us to forget who we are, we've stepped back into the lower order of reality in the world of perception. When we forget who we are, and this is what our addiction is. Our addiction, and the reason that we don't seem to have the real world experience all the time, sometimes we're caught off guard, is because we go back to thinking that we're a person. We go back to and we start getting voices, we start getting messages from that, and then we believe it. And then we give our attention to it, and we say, oh, I am that. I am this, I am that. And here's this section also in chapter 3. It says, Jesus says, instead of seek first the kingdom of heaven, say to yourself, will you first the kingdom of heaven? And you have said, I know what I am, and I will to accept my inheritance. So he changed it right there. He changed that old Bible verse that's in Matthew 6:36 that says, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you. Jesus goes, no, don't do that.
Read that again, please.
He says, instead of seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, instead, say, will ye first the kingdom of heaven? Will. And you have said, I know what I am, and I will to accept my own inheritance. So that's a pretty different way of saying it. It's really saying, I'm accepting myself as God created me. I'm accepting myself as God is. I will for the kingdom, not seek for the kingdom. Because if you're seeking for it, it means you think it's outside of you, and that's one of the I don't know, the new revelation experience that I have just in the last 6 months, and just since really discovering a deeper experience by practicing awareness and by just a more of a contemplative meditation life. I now know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God isn't somewhere. God isn't to be found, because God is expressing itself in everything I see. God is expressing itself as awareness. God is expressing itself as a chair, as the floor, as everything. God is in my mind. God is in everything I see, because God is in my mind is one of the early workbook lessons. All of these workbook lessons are bringing us to the knowing experience of awareness of God is. The knowing experience of God is. And we have a few minutes. We have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to, or more. How much time do we have left?
15.
Oh, we have 15 minutes. Really? Okay.
No, I guess 5.
Okay. So, Monica, you had a question or a comment? Yeah.
So I want to just say that the God is in my mind is one of the early lessons that really does bring you to the place of I am.
Yes.
Because God, no matter, even when you're thinking fearful thoughts, that's still God, because your mind is thinking those fearful thoughts.
Yes.
And it's a question of not trying to get rid of them or judge yourself for having them, because a lot of people get stuck in that, oh, I should be in awareness all the time. But we're not always in the awareness. We sometimes are stuck in our fear. We don't realize that that's still an experience of totality of your mind. A total thought of love is the same as a total thought of fear. You don't have to change it. You don't have to try to fix it. You don't have to try to undo it, except to recognize it. You know, oh, that's a fear thought. Not I am afraid, but that's a fear thought. And in the release of, or the recognition that I'm a being having a fear thought, there's no judgment.
Right.
So it just takes you out of that, oh, well, I don't know if I can be in awareness all the time. You don't have to be, you know, it's like a reset button all the time. Like, come back to it when you recognize you're having an experience you don't like, you know, or you're unhappy with it. You're because we do get obsessed with our fear. I do. And it isn't anything bad or wrong. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yes.
That's why I do the Byron Katie so much, because I realize I do have to do that inner work to become aware all the time that I have an alternative to every fear thought I have. There's an alternative to it in my mind.
Right.
And it is work. It isn't just, oh, just stay aware, which I'd love to be able to do, but I've never been able to do that.
Right.
So
Well, you can, though. I do have some pushback on that, because you absolutely can be in awareness all the time.
Well, you are, but you're not aware that you are.
Well, maybe that's yeah. Well, you're not aware that you are, but you can't not be in awareness all the time. That's why that's why in my mind the topic of this discovery is so important, because you actually can be in awareness all the time, but you really have to, because it's the question that it got obliterated. The question that was obliterated, that got removed from our consciousness by the ego, was the question is, what am I? And
Where can I go for protection?
yeah, well, that's the same thing. Where can I go for protection is right here. This is where nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. This is the only protection that's available, because God is. And anything that comes up, once you have the experience of awareness, and you know the portal to get to awareness, well, yeah, until it's a known experience, you're going to slip back into this lower order by temptation, by the temptation of believing what you're not. But now that we're awake to that, and now that we have these tools of understanding, we notice it. We notice that first it comes in a feeling. I'm upset. We notice that. Well, that noticing is the experience that brings us into the one remaining freedom that we have in time, is the power of choice. We can choose to have peace instead of this experience. We can choose to have awareness, to be awareness, instead of the personal self-identity, because you can't have a problem in time and space if you're not identifying as a body. You have to be identifying as a person to have a problem in and as the person. John? Oh,
I think Irene wanted to say something a while ago. I don't know.
No, go to John.
John.
I love that you put the charts up. And the reason I love that is because it in itself is also communicating in the ego world, as are the words we're using and the perception of what all the words and the combination of the words are. And what's beautiful about having the different forms of communication is we are in the ego world and perceiving through that. So it was, and it's funny. My point was, when you're talking about awareness from different perceptions, being aware of being aware, for example, what I see is the essence of what you're saying is the truth. And no matter how you explain it or how you draw it out, the truth is still conveyed, and we're all at a different place, not a different hierarchy, but a different place of coming to our own self-awareness. And the beauty to it, when you talked about the power that we all have, is we're all very powerful to find our own self-awareness in the many trillions of avenues that take us there. And yet, I think the awareness is always there if we, like the statement that I read earlier, as long as we get out of the way and allow it.
So we have a few hands that are up.
Yeah, we're kind of over time.
Is it okay if we go overtime for a minute, you guys?
Just show.
Thank you, John. I appreciate your comments on that. And the one thing that I love about the topic of awareness is that that awareness is the same for everyone and everything. If you were able to ask a mosquito, is it aware? If you could communicate that, you know that mosquito is aware. It can't fly if it's not aware. So there's every living thing is aware. It has an awareness. The cool thing about where we are is that we are able to have consciousness that brings us to the understanding of what that means, so that we can go back to being our essential self as consciousness, the consciousness of the being as God created us, as the being. Individuated beings even. The Course even talks about individuated beings of consciousness, of the same consciousness of awareness. And so I really am offering just an idea for everyone, because everyone can have their own level of understanding the experience of awareness, and it can't be different than everyone else's. Awareness is the same for all living things. So, Irene?
I just quickly want to say that what the mosquito doesn't have is unconsciousness. The mosquito doesn't know about unconsciousness. The mosquito operates on instinct. It's an automatic. So it's in the awareness because it's never gone out of the awareness.
Yeah, but it's not that's not, I mean,
no, but I'm going to talk about
relevance.
But when I say about us, no, awareness is awareness, and I totally agree with you. Okay, no question about that. But I've had some people come to me who have been listening to you and have said to me, I must be doing it all wrong. I'm not there. Okay. And I'm not saying that what you have offered isn't wonderful, but there's an unconsciousness that we have to get in touch with. On our, like that portal, the door was wide open. Some of us have our backs to the door, banging our head against it, and we don't even know we're doing that. We don't know what's numbing us. This entire culture in the ego land, is an anesthesia. Everything is telling us. I got a magazine that'll tell you what's the right way to the kingdom. I've got a diet plan to the right way to the kingdom. I've got a movie that'll get you to the kingdom. I've got jewelry that'll get you to the kingdom. Like I've got parenting books that'll tell you how to get to the kingdom. So we're constantly like looking for how to get to the kingdom, how to get there. And we don't realize we have our back against the door.
Well, that's because the question that's being raised
Seek ye the kingdom.
Is not accepting the fact that you are the kingdom.
Exactly.
It's looking outside of you for an answer, and that's why this type of a question is the inner contemplation of your own direct experience. You're not going to find the answer in someone else's book or in Bill presenting it up here as much as you are in having your own direct experience, because you have it. It's your own witness. It's not because you believe it. It's because you see it. And you know it to be true because it's your direct experience.
And you spent a whole lot of years in another book looking at trying to find the kingdom
outside of myself.
Exactly.
Yes.
So all I'm saying is, I guess I'd like to give a lot of people, the planet, permission to know you're not doing it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. For a lot of us, we have to go what we go through in order to have that wake up. You had to go through all that time with the Bible and the way you went to get to that place where this resonated inside of you with such clarity. Because you were banging your head against that wall after a while. At first, it was exciting for you because it took you out of stuff that was even worse than that.
Right.
So I just want to say to people who keep asking me, well, what do you do? Am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? And it's like, it's not, because I think lots of times when we talk about the mind, that feels like a part of the body. That feels like a part of the body to people.
Yeah, it's a belief.
Exactly. And our beliefs are crashing around in us, and we're getting so much feedback everywhere we are on the planet for that.
Yeah.
Why the stillness is so important. Just stop. That's why Byron Katie told you guys to put your phones down, to not plug in anywhere. Go plug into you. That's hugely scary for so many people. To even take a deep breath is terrifying because they're so afraid that if I go in, I'm going to find out how broken and awful I am. It must be very, very dark in here. And major religions teach that. Major religions teach us that we're darkness. We got to get light. And they got the light answer for us. So I guess I just want to be a voice for people who feel like somehow I'm doing this Course in Miracles wrong.
A lot of people are. A lot of people are, and they need to wake up to it, because you can keep reading the Course and the workbook lessons to ad nausea and never accept the fact that you are as God created you. There are a lot of people that read the Course and they're stuck in it.
And there are a lot of people who won't pick the Course up because they think it's blasphemy.
True. And there are other portals for them.
Absolutely.
There's Byron Katie. There's Great Freedom. There's the Tao. There's Eastern traditions. There's tons of. There's a few Catholic mystical expressions that are really good.
Yes.
But
and there are people who are doing the Course, like you would say, wrong. But there are also people doing the Course who have moments of clarity, and then they lose it, and they don't know where that went.
But they don't. That's okay. The thing I would say to them is keep going.
Yes, exactly.
To all of them, I'd say just keep going. And if you really want the answer, look within. Just go into that quiet place and say, "Show me." And just do the "Here I am, Lord." And don't think that Jesus is the Lord. Of course, he's just like you, but you are calling to the God of your understanding when you say, "Here I am, Lord."
And you are worth it to go inside to see that.
Yeah.
You have the value of all the value.
Yeah. So I think we've run out of time. Thank you all for being part of this discussion. And I think we could have gone on with more conversation. I did want to cut the questions short till the end so that I could have the time and the space to present the whole thing. But I thank you all for being part of this awesome opportunity. And thank you for being part of our group here. And thank you, live streamers, for joining us.